Saram students and welcome back after your break. Today we will do our lesson from Moments, that is lesson 8. A House is Not a Home, written by Zan Gaudioso. Okay, first let's know something about the author. Zan Gaudioso is an author based in California. She has contributed stories to and edited the famous Chicken Soup for the Soul book series. It's a very famous book series. The Buddha Next Door, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Stories. This is one of her famous books. She has received the award for the book titled The Buddha Next Door. Zan Gaudioso has her very own blog in which she writes about happiness. So this is about the author. Now moving ahead, students, let's see what the theme or the introduction to this story is about. The story traces the problems that one faces when an older way of living comes crashing down, forcing one to rebuild life from scratch. So when we have to adjust to a new setting, new situation, what kind of problems we face is a part of this particular story. It examines how a seemingly tough situation can be turned into an advantageous one with the right attitude. So if we have the will and the right attitude towards that situation, we can always overcome that and come out victorious. The story highlights the thin difference between a house and a home. So what is a house and what is a home? We will understand from this story. While a house is a building where people live, a home is a place where a family lives together, sharing the unique bond of love and oneness. So house is just a structure, but the family makes it a home. The bond that is present in the family makes that particular house a home. The narrator's house gets destroyed by fire and he gets a new house. So here the narrator is a teenager boy. Okay, it gets destroyed. Then he realizes that his home is the one built by the love and affection of his family and loved ones. Love and affection of one's family is precious. So he loses his home in the fire, his house in the fire, but however, he realizes that he has his family to support him. So the main characters in this story is the teenager is a high school student. He joins a new school and misses his old school, his teachers and friends. So this is one of the important character in the story. The pet cat. The pet cat is very dear to the teenager, that is the teenage boy. She is a red colored cat. Okay. The third character here, the important character, is a stranger. The stranger lives a mile away from the teenager. She is very helpful as she takes care of his pet cat. So now students, these are the three main characters in the story. So now let's see how this teenager adjusts and how he makes his house a home. So let's begin, students. This story reflects the challenges of being a teenager and the problems of growing up. How does the author overcome his problems? So how does the narrator here overcome all the problems as a teenager? We will understand in the story that is to be taken up now. first year of high school felt awkward. After leaving junior high at the head of my class with all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a freshman. So the first year of his high school was really very awkward. He was not very comfortable out there. He had moved into a new setting. He was a fresh student out there, so he was unable to understand how to adjust to this particular schooling of his. The school was twice as big as my old school, and to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to different high schools. I felt very isolated. So the narrator here, the teenager, says that he had shifted to the new high school, but though the school was really big as his old school, there were no friends. All his closest friends had moved on to different high schools. So he was really feeling isolated and left out in this new school. I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. They would encourage me to get involved in school activities so that I could meet new people. They told me that in time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. So he used to miss his old school teachers so much that would go and meet them very regularly, would visit them. However, they also would encourage him to get involved in a lot of school activities so that he would meet new people. They also told him that he would get adjusted very well to the new school gradually in such a way that maybe he would even forget his old one. So this is how his teachers motivated him and encouraged him to get adjusted to the new school setting. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. I understood the psychology in what they were saying, but I took some comfort in it nonetheless. So they also told that he should promise them that once he is adjusted that he would not forget his old school and would continue visiting them time to time. So he understood, the narrator here understood that what they were saying, that he needs to really get adjusted to his new school building or his new school setting. One Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining room table doing homework. It was a cold and windy fall day, and we had a fire going in our fireplace. So one such Sunday afternoon, as he was sitting at the dining room table doing his homework, it was very cold and very windy outside, and there was a fire going in the fireplace to keep the place warm. What happened? As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally swatting at my pen for entertainment's sake. So as usual, his favorite cat, the red tabby cat, was lying on top of all his papers, sitting by him on the table, purring loudly, that's making sounds, and occasionally even swatting at his pen for entertaining each other. So they were playing pranks and passing time with each other. She was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten, and somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. So the narrator had found or rescued this cat when she was very small, that is a kitten, and had brought the kitten along. So the kitten was very fond of the narrator, as she believed that he had given her a good life to live. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. Suddenly, I smelled something strange, and then I noticed it. So here his mother was continuously stoking the fire, putting firewood so that the house is really warm. But somehow the narrator suddenly smelt something very strange. What did he notice? What was the smell all about? Smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. The smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see. So he noticed there was smoke pouring in through the ceiling, the seams of the ceiling, and it began to fill the room totally so that they could barely see each other. The entire room was filled with smoke that was coming through the ceiling. Groping our way to the front door, we all ran out into the front yard. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed in flames and it was spreading quickly. So, trying to escape, they made their way uh, to the front door and ran out into the front yard. However, by the time they reached outside, the whole roof was engulfed, totally covered with flames, and it was spreading really quickly because it was really windy and cold outside. So they were unable to control these flames. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother run back into the house. So they had to urgently call for the fire department or the fire brigade probably. So he started running to the neighbors to call for the fire department. But at the same time, he saw that his mother was running back into the house as if she had something that she had forgotten or she something precious lying inside. So he watched her run into the house urgently. My mother then ran out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and, in a crazed state, ran back into the house. I knew what she was after. So he saw his mother running in and out. She ran into the house, brought a metal box out which had all the important documents. She brought it out of the house and dropped it in the lawn. And she was really mad, in a crazed state, in a desperate state, to bring back all the important belongings that were lying inside the house. So she ran back into the house. So here the narrator also says that he really knew what she was trying to bring out, what she was trying to save and take it out from the house. My father had died when I was young, and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in flames. They were the only things that she had to remember him by. Still, I screamed at her, "Mom, no." So, his father was not alive then. He died when he was very young, when the narrator was very young. And so he was sure that his mother was running inside to get all his pictures and the letters that were sent to her, which may go up in the flame. She was trying to bring all that out because that were the only things that she had as a memory of his father. So she was desperately moving into the house to bring all these out so that it doesn't get burnt in the fire. But still, the narrator screamed at her, saying, Mom, no. Saying, trying to control her, trying to tell her, you will not move inside because it's dangerous for you to get into the house. He was screaming at her, saying, Mom, no, you're not going inside. So now, what happens after this? What does the teenager do? How are they saved? What happens? We will continue it in the next class. Till then, students, go through the lesson, understand this, and we will continue the same.